welcome to Healthy Grilling with Healthy Columbus. My name's Jen Morrell, and we are on site with exercise specialist Pat Schick and registered dietitian Ashley Harris. We wanted to bring you some healthy tips as you get ready to fire up the grill this summer. So Ashley's going to get us started with what to do and, more importantly, what not to do when you're grilling.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen.
Sure.
So today we wanted to talk about healthy grilling and, more importantly, safe grilling for the summertime. There's two things that I like to focus on when we talk about healthy and safe grilling. The first is actually food safety. What's the proper temperature for cooking and then also for storage. And then something that's near and dear to me is the cancer risk that can come with grilling, especially when you char the meat. So we'll talk about that and some other alternatives to make it a little healthier and reduce that cancer risk. And then I'm gonna have Pat just give you a brief little summary on healthy grilling in terms of cleaning the grill. He had an incident on his recent vacation that can speak to this. So to get started, when you're cooking food, it's really important to make sure when you're cooking these meats that you get to a safe temperature. This is a little food thermometer. They're really easy. I got this on sale at Kroger's for I think $5, just to check the internal temperature of your meats. So when you're cooking chicken, you want to get to 165. Chicken, pork, kind of those white meats. When you're cooking beef, they actually say you only have to get to 145 when it's like a steak. However, if it's ground meat, you want to get up to 160 and you need to let it rest. Both of the ground beef and the regular beef, you need to let it rest for a few minutes after you cook it. This just makes sure it kills all of the bacteria. The ground meat especially, bacteria is on the outside of the meat. When we grind it all up, then it's kind of all interspersed throughout, so you want to get it to that safe temperature. I also want to talk though about storing your food. So when we have these grills, usually for a couple hours, we're outside, we're hanging out. Are the burgers okay that sat there from 3 hours before? What do you think, Pat?
Probably not.
Probably not, no. Really, when you cook something, you don't want to let it be in what we call a danger zone for temperature, which is above 40 degrees Celsius for 40 degrees Fahrenheit for more than 2 hours. And if it's 90 degrees or more, for an hour. So if it's a really, really hot day, I say keep the uncooked burgers in the fridge inside. You gotta just kind of keep them rolling out. Same goes for, potato salad, any food actually. Any food that's perishable, even cut up fruit, you don't want to let it sit for more than 2 hours. And if it's above 90 degrees, more than an hour.
So Ashley, what if we have, I've got a big party, I'm kind of, busy, kind of forget about the food, but beforehand I've prepared a bed of ice, or, is the potato salad and some of those colder items, are they okay sitting on that bed of ice? They're
better on the bed of ice, but really it's impossible to tell, especially the stuff that's on the outside. What I would suggest is just bring out small batches. So keep it in your fridge, and bring out a third of it, about every hour. I just switch it out and just kind of keep bringing that out.
Sure.
It's not worth it. You don't want to be the one that everyone goes home from your picnic and is
nobody
sick.
comes back
Right,
to your house
exactly.
ever.
Exactly. So food safety, food storage is important. Another important thing when we come to food safety is the plate that you cook it on. So a lot of times we bring out the raw meat on a plate. You cook it up, you don't put it right back on that plate. Same thing with the utensils. You want to get fresh utensils, or it doesn't even matter that you cooked it to that safe temperature.
So what about when, you've got, your meat, whatnot, roasting, marinating, and then maybe you cook it on a foil pack, or you cook it somehow so that juice is contained. Can you use that juice later on, assuming it's been grilled with the meat?
So yeah, as long as it's been grilled with the meat and you stored it at a safe temperature. I'm glad you brought that up though. When you are marinating the meat, and I will speak to the importance of that, you want to do it in the fridge. Don't set it out on your counter. And that juice, unless it cooked, if you made it in a foil pack, if it just cooked, I don't know if you can see this here, if you took it out of the marinade, cooked it on the thing, no, don't put it back in with those juices.
Got it.
The juices need to have been
I assume the same is true when you're defrosting your meat. Don't leave it out on the counter, out in the sun for 4 hours.
Yes, because the stuff on the outside gets nice and warm, the stuff on the inside might still be frozen, but it's gonna harbor that bacteria. So the other important thing when grilling is, I'm not sure if people have heard, but when you grill and when you make that nice brown char, and I'll show you there, that actually causes some cancer-causing, we call them carcinogenic chemicals. So it can make something we call HCAs, which are heterocyclic amines, and that's when you get that black char, that really tasty black char on things. We have linked those with colon cancers and some other types of cancers. There's also something called PCAs, which are polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. And that comes when the fat drips down into the grill and then it smokes back up. So both of these can be dangerous. So I have a couple tips for kind of reducing your cancer risk when grilling. The first is keep the red out. Another thing is red meat, especially more than 18 ounces per week, is also linked with increased cancer risk for cancers such as colon cancer. And then also if it has that fat in there, heart disease types of things.
So I would put you on the spot.
Yes.
Okay, so we say, roughly a serving size of meat is about the size of your palm, right?
Yes.
So do you know roughly how much that compares to ounces?
It's about
different?
3 to 4 ounces.
Okay.
So, if you're doing it that way, you can have red meat several times a week. You can have several burgers during the summer.
As long as they're not 4-inch thick burgers.
Exactly, as long as they're not they're not like this thick. Exactly. So ways to reduce that formation of those is, well, one, you want to choose the white meat. So having chicken, vegetables, getting in these veggies. I made these kebabs. This is actually portobello mushrooms, and Pat, you want to show me?
Sure.
He's grilling up a portobello mushroom
Pat,
cap.
that's really good.
It does. You could have this cap in place of a burger.
Or a bun.
Or bun, yeah.
Yeah, or in place of a bun. I pop them in my kebabs, but going with the white meats, the turkey, the chicken, fish is a great thing. Then the other thing is when you do cook, you want to do a couple things. You do not, and if you can see this here, here's the wrong way to cook the burger with that blackened char. Here's the better way. And the way to do that is cook it low and slow. We had Pat over here, it's a low temperature. You're flipping it more often. Another thing to help prevent that is to trim off the fat. So what happens is the fat drips down and the charcoal goes back up. Trim off as much visible fat as you can see. Another way to prevent the fat drips, don't stab your meat and flip it. Get tongs or a spatula. Yeah. You can also cook on foil. There's a little controversy with that I won't get into. I personally do it a lot. And so you can cook on foil to do that. Then the other thing is marinating your meats, and this is huge. So studies have shown that when you marinate your meat, and we think it's the acid, so you want to get an acidic thing in your marinade. So vinegar, citric acid, it reduces the formation of those carcinogens up to 99%, which is huge.
So things like barbecue sauce, while tasty, is not going to necessarily cut your cancer risk.
Exactly. So it's mostly the citric acid. We think it also is the olive oil. We think it's the herbs and spices. There's been some other studies out with burger patties, because you might not want to marinate your burger patty, but when just throwing in tons of herbs and spices in that, it cuts your cancer risk too. So always marinade. You can make your own, and we're posting these tips online, and I'll post a marinade recipe, or you just buy it at the store. It's super easy. And you want to marinate it for at least a half hour.
I have to make a plug. Your beautiful kebabs also play nicely with Eat the Rainbow video we did several months ago.
They do. I think we had some kebabs in that one too. But then that's the thing is at your grills, try and get in as much color, as much veggies as you can. The kebabs are a good way to go. Another thing I did, which I think this is how you cooked these veggies, Jen. I'll take a foil pack like this, throw a ton of veggies in there. I just put a little olive oil, salt, pepper, maybe some herbs and spices. I like it plain. Cover it with foil, and I just cook that on the grill for about 30 to 40 minutes. It's so simple, and it makes tons of veggies, and you can eat them, and it has a really good taste. The other thing that I made today is grilled peaches. I think sometimes people forget we can grill other things besides meat and then some veggies. So fruit, grilled peaches, grilled pineapple make a really nice dessert. This, I just put a little olive oil on here, put a little cinnamon, you can put a little brown sugar if you want, grill it up. And if you want that char, this is a little charred, you can char those veggies. You can get that taste that way, and it's a lot safer to do.
Oh, so it's okay to char veggies-ish?
It's better.
Okay.
It's better. I can't say it's okay, but it's definitely a lot better.
But if you have to char something, char the veggies a little bit.
Yeah. Another thing I love to char is romaine lettuce. I don't know if anyone's ever grilled that. You just take romaine lettuce.
Yeah, that seems...
It sounds so bizarre.
Okay.
Throw it on the grill. You can get those like black char marks, and I have a great recipe that I'll post with this for a little dressing you put over. I was very skeptical at first. It's great, and so it's just another fun way to bring grilling in a really healthful and safe way.
Okay, so our challenge to all the viewers is to grill some romaine lettuce and comment on our page about what you think.
Yes, but you have to have the dressing topping. That makes it. So yeah, that's kind of my spiel for safe grilling. Do you have any questions? I know we were talking before about the fat content of meat.
That's right.
So Jen did ask me earlier, is it fine to get the higher fat ground meat because it's going to drip off into the grill and you
A
cook
lot of
that
times
off.
when you're cooking for a crowd, you know, buying that 96.3, 94.7, whatever the math works out to be, you know, it gets expensive. So if you're cooking for a crowd, you know, will it drip off if you go a little cheaper option?
It will drip off, but that's where then we're getting the drips into the flames and then it's smoking back up. So I'd say go with the lower fat content if possible. Another healthier way that I do it, I do this with turkey burgers a lot. I take vegetables, peppers, mushrooms, onions, and I chop them up really, really small. And then I mix that in actually with the meat mixture. And I do up to a 50-50 mix. So my burger that big can get to a burger this big. I really haven't added any more meat, any more bad calories, and it's just a heartier and it's juicier.
So sometimes actually I'll add some mixed veggies. I'll do a little bit of quinoa in there just to
I
beef
like
it up.
that. I like that a lot.
And then Worcestershire sauce is always the secret ingredient to add some flavor if you've got a lower content, fat content.
Awesome. So, Pat, do you want to take it away with just some basics on cleaning your grill?
Yeah.
And some tips with that.
First, with propane hookup is pretty darn easy. Just follow the directions that's on the tank.
I have no idea how to do it.
It's as simple as plugging something into an outlet. Basically, is what it comes out to. But follow the directions on the tank. Some tanks might be a little different. Especially with the smaller tanks, you have to really screw them in. But when it comes to cleaning, most people have these guys, which is just a heavy-duty wire brush to scrub the heck out of your grill. There's been a lot of problems with people finding these in their food, which then can get stuck in your mouth. You swallow them, they get stuck in your stomach.
Can cause
Next thing you know,
serious
you're in the hospital.
Yeah.
It happened to my wife just last week. She found it back in her throat. She was swallowing, felt like there was something stuck in her throat. She went back, pulled it out, handed
That's
it to
so
me and
scary.
said,
Oh my gosh.
there was no way. I haven't found a way to really fix that. So what we've been doing at home since then, we've grilled a few times, is I've went one way and then I went the other way and then I went back the other way and then I've taken sort of like they make them, but they look kind of like a wire sponge, and I've sort of lightly brushed against that, hoping that's going to pick up the pieces. But if you Google it, I bet there's a bunch of people, you'll find a bunch of stories about people catching these in their throat.
Well, what's interesting,
Or their
I'd
stomach.
never thought about that, and I just saw a news article about, or news program about it, an article about it, so I guess it's a thing. So
I know, I would have never thought it'd be a problem. I would think they would make these pretty darn sturdy if you're using it on your food. But she's okay, don't worry. Other than that, it's basically make sure you clean off your grill before you put food on it. Make sure you're aware of what you're putting on your grill. And the propane tank, it's easy. As you can see with this guy,
I've
kind of
packed me
tore in
in
half. We didn't spray the grill on the half that he was on, and it got all stuck, and then all of a sudden we're having issues. When it comes to spray, you can use, like, there's coconut oil that we have here.
And I love the coconut oil spray
Canola.
because it has a really high smoke point, meaning it's not gonna, go bad. It can handle those higher temperatures. So kudos to you for finding that coconut oil spray.
I'm very excited about that.
Yes.
And it actually, coconut oil, if you haven't had it, it just adds a little bit of flavor to your food, just makes it a little, just a little tastier.
Yep, I agree.
If you like coconuts.
And if you like using virgin olive oil, they make actually pump sprayers that you can dump that into and spray your food with, spray your grill, so you're not dumping a bunch of oil all over your grill or trying to figure out a way to get that onto here. And there's no real good way to do it.
Yeah.
Then what we do is we'll turn it up real high and then scrub it, get everything cleaned off. Then we'll put the food on and turn it back down to the temperature we want, then put the food on and cook it how we want.
Cool.
Great.
I think that's it. It doesn't have to be tricky. It doesn't have to be tough, but just remembering, a couple basics, which is cleaning your grill, making sure there's no bristles. Try not to have too much red meat. Getting those other colors in there is a great way to do it. Not charring your meat, trimming off that fat, and marinating that meat. And then get your food inside it in a safe amount of time. Cook it to the right temperature and get it inside. And other than that, have fun. Have fun with it. Grilling's a great way to get outside, share food with family and friends. So we hope you enjoyed this. We will be posting some grilling tips online, both with food safety, cancer risk, and I'll put that grilled lettuce and some other fun recipes up there too.
Sure. Also, thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget to send us what you want to hear about in terms of healthy eating so we can make it happen for next time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
slightly.